Okay.
You're good.
So I'm going to read the right to know checklist. As chair of the Sanborn Regional School Board, I find that due to the state of the emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note there's no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I'm confirming that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We're utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All meetings of the Sanborn Regional School Board have the ability, all members of the Sanborn Regional School Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 1-646-558-8656. Meeting ID 952-5194-9900, or by clicking on the following website address. The YouTube address, www.youtube.com/C/SRSD meeting videos. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the Sanborn Regional School District at www.sau17.net. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 603-642-8541 or email at helpdesk@sau17.net. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which was required under the right to know law. Starting with Larry.
Larry Heath, I'm in my office. There is nobody here but myself.
Okay, Matt.
I'm Matt Angel. I'm in my office at the SAU, and there's no one here with me.
Tom.
Thomas Ambrose, superintendent. I'm at the SAU office and no one is here in the office.
Pete.
Yeah, I'm at my office at home. Nobody's in here but me.
Tammy. You're.
Yep, Tammy's muted.
There we go. Sorry, didn't realize.
Yep. Yep.
Tammy Mahoney, I'm in a room in my home. No one's in the room with me at the moment.
Okay, Dawn.
Dawn Dutton, I am in my basement and there is no one in the room with me.
Jamie.
Jamie Fitzpatrick, I'm in my home, so I'm alone.
Charlie.
I'm in my home alone in my kitchen.
And Jim Baker, I'm in a room in my house and I'm alone. Okay, so meeting's called to order. Let's do the pledge. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so turn the meeting over to Tom.
Thanks. I just got a notice from a parent that they can't view the meeting on YouTube. Is the link the same as usual, Dan?
Yes, and it's up and running on YouTube as well.
Are there folks viewing the YouTube link?
Yeah, there's 16 watching.
Okay, can you email me that link so I can forward it to this parent? She seems to be having difficulty.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Hold on just a sec. I just want to. So the purpose of our meeting this evening, well, first of all, I just wanted to say that the matter requiring a non-public prior to this meeting has been resolved. It was regarding a personnel, a specific person. So Jim Baker and I met and discussed the number of COVID cases that have come in today and the conversation we felt just needed to be a public conversation because we had already resolved there were 2 situations that I wanted to discuss in non-public, but they've taken care of themselves. So we just wanted to let everyone know why there was a non-public on the agenda. So, I just also wanted to note that I just received a note from Dr. Haynes. Refresh your browser if you can't see they wouldn't know that because they can't see it. Never mind, I'm sorry.
I have 2 people that texted me to say that they can see the feed okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. Nope. So anyway, the long and short of it is that we have had an uptick in COVID cases, and the purpose of this meeting is to have a conversation with the board about what to do. And I just wanted to give you the data as it exists right now. Daniel, if you could give me the ability to share my screen, that would be great.
Yeah, you should have the ability. That's all set
Okay,
up.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So from a transparency perspective, I just wanted to share that our daily update for the Sanborn Regional School District, wanted to give you the data as it exists right now. Daniel, if you could give me the ability to share. Oh, somebody's, that would be great.
Yeah, you should have the ability. That's all set up.
It's weird that somebody's listening to the YouTube on the speaker, but it's, I wanted to share that our daily. Can you mute yourselves, please? School district. Thank you. All right, so today, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, Kingston has 16 cases, Newton has 17, and Fremont has 27. And as of this morning, when I started the day, Bakey had 1, Memorial had 2, and the high school had 1. But I just want to explain to people that it's not the total number of cases, it's the impact that it has on staffing and the students. So if you look at this document here, which shows the layout of the number of cases across the district, Bakey has 26 people being affected. Memorial has 32. And within Bakey, they have an active student case, 2 staff quarantining because of close contact with another active student case, or with that same active student case, 17 students quarantining because of close contact with an active student case, 2 staff members quarantining because of essential holiday travel, 1 staff member quarantining due to close contact with a family member who tested positive, 2 regular substitutes quarantining because of travel out of New England or close contact, and 1 close contact tracing student has symptoms who is being tested. At Memorial, we have 32 students or people affected, and this one was really tricky because it affected an entire team because they have 2 teachers per team. So when the student last Tuesday came back positive, it affected the 2 teachers on that team and 20 students. But then they had a second case on Sunday that affected 6 more staff members, and the total at this point is 32 with 10 staff members. So it's really complicated. It just goes to show that it's not the number of cases, it's the people that it causes to quarantine.
When you say affected, that's based on the contact tracing?
Yes, thank you, Jim. Due to the contact tracing, these people have to quarantine. Thank you. At the middle school, we had 3 staff members quarantining due to close contact with someone outside of school, and 7 students quarantining. At the high school, 65 people are currently quarantining. 1 active staff member, 1 staff member quarantining because they had contact with the active staff member, 21 students quarantining because of close contact with the staff member, 1 staff member waiting for results. And then today at 1 p.m., we had another positive student come in, and that caused 40 more students and potentially more staff to be quarantined. They're doing the contact tracing for that right now. Brian said to go with 40 at this point, but the staff number is still unclear because he hasn't finished the process today. At central office, we found out this afternoon simultaneously at about 1 o'clock that one of our tech department members was confirmed. That caused us to have a tech department member also quarantine, and one admin assistant at the central office needed to quarantine as well. So overall, just doing a little quick math here. 68,
16.
130. Yeah, 116.
I'm
Is that right, Matt?
I hate my calculator. Sorry, 136.
136, thank you. 136 people are affected at this point, and we're not quite done the contact tracing from today. So based on all of this data in the conversations that we're having and the questions that we've been asking, we just want to clarify that this dashboard is behind by about a week. So when it says Fremont has 27 active cases, Newton 17, and Kingston 16, it doesn't even have the people that we reported to DHS last Tuesday yet, because they're so overwhelmed and backlogged. We can only go with what's on the website, but we feel that it's at least a week behind. So in light of all of the data that we have, the administrative team and the staff that I've talked to today, we feel that we need to recommend being remote for the rest of this week until we get a better handle on this. And part of that is because if we're remote for the rest of this week, we probably, well, first of all, our remote period starts last Tuesday. So no one's been in school, so we capitalize on those 5 or 6 days from last week, and then we can move forward for the rest of this week and hopefully return to school next Monday once we have a better handle on the numbers. Certainly recognizing that if the numbers continue in this trend line, we're going to have concerns about school anyway. So I'll turn it over to the board for conversation. That's the presentation.
So, Tom, just to be clear, out of the 100 and, Matt, you said 36 or 37?
136.
36. The majority of those at this point are either waiting test results or quarantining because they had contact, but we don't know whether they actually have COVID or not.
And that's why we're recommending being remote for the rest of this week, so we can get a better handle.
You can't get that information because it's not available at this point, is it?
Right. One of the biggest problems is that people are developing symptoms and then getting tests, but because there are so many people getting tests simultaneously, combined with the Thanksgiving holiday, it's causing the results to come back very slow.
So the feeling is that if we go remote this next week and wait for that information, there's a likelier possibility of being able to continue school the following weeks.
Yes, our feeling is that
depending on the results.
Yes. So if we came back to school tomorrow and then we get a bunch of results back that there are more negative tests, the 14-day clock starts tomorrow. Whereas if we stay remote right now, the 14-day clock starts last Tuesday for a lot of these people. So I don't want to downplay the fact that being remote this week gives us a far greater chance of having school for the next 2 weeks. Whereas if we go back to school too quickly right now, we may be remote from now until the second week of January. If we have an uptick in case, if we come back to school and bring all the students back and we have a day like we did today with a bigger uptick in cases, then the 14-day clock starts over. But right now, our 14-day clock starts last Tuesday. I think our feeling as a team is the best approach is to be remote for the rest of this week and hopefully come back to school on Monday. That's what we think is the best course of action.
Another follow-up question. Do we even have enough staff at this point to do anything else?
It's dicey. It's as close as it can be to very challenging. One of the things that would make it work is that I put Memorial on 5 days remote on Saturday because we couldn't figure out if one of the people who has COVID at Memorial, we don't know where they got it from. So we couldn't correlate and contact trace. So we were very nervous about that in light of the student that had it on Tuesday. So you have to remember the Tuesday before we went to Thanksgiving, we had 2 significant cases come up that affected 2 schools. And then we had another case at that school. So there were some subs that would be available, but I'm not going to, without going into too much detail, I would say that it's right on the precipice of tipping over to not being able to do it anyway. It's very close.
In combination with the thinking that if we stay remote now, we'll have a better chance of opening for the 2 weeks thereafter. Pete,
Yeah, you know what we're looking at here. Add one more, take the multiplying effect of that, and we're jammed up. We have to make, to me, I'm sorry, but one more child in the next 2 days, and we are absolutely over our head in water. So I think there's only one decision. We can't, right now we have the luxury of being able to make a decision with some information, and, you know, I hate to use the word luxury, but you add one more and we don't, that luxury, if I can use that term, has gone away, you know. So we can't, we'll jam ourselves up if we don't make the decision today.
Larry?
Well, also one of the other things is don't forget that the numbers have been going sky high. What was it? I just heard 500 per day now. It's just a matter of time before it catches us one way or the other. I kind of agree with Pete.
Is that
It's better to
500
do
in
it.
New Hampshire or
500 in New Hampshire today.
Okay.
Wow, I've been so busy contact tracing all day, Larry. I didn't know that.
I just got that word just before I came down, and it shocked me. We are higher than what we were in May. I don't think we have a choice. My concern is what happens when we do stop it, and then more of them starts coming in. That 14 days is just going to slide right straight out.
That is a concern, and I think the board will need to meet to revisit that as we continue to watch. My opinion is that the safest course of action to get us, I just want to be clear. I want the kids to be back in school for these 2 weeks before Christmas break. And my feeling is if I have any shot of pulling that off, we need to be remote for the rest of this week to get a handle on the situation. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but Larry, knowing that it went up 500 cases today is certainly very concerning.
Yep, that's why I came here with that feeling. Wow, this is not good.
anybody? Dawn?
Yeah, I just want to, I feel the same as everybody else so far. I think the only shot we have at potentially being able to come back for those 2 weeks before Christmas break is if we just take this week, we do remote, we let test results come back, and we can, try to come up with a plan from there. I think it's the smartest move. If we don't, then I don't think we have any chance of having kids in school those, for who knows, even more than one more day this week, and then definitely not for the next 2 weeks. Because we said 14-day clock starts all over as soon as we put those kids back in the building. So we got to be really careful if we want our students to be able to come back safely, our teachers to be able to come back safely, and people to be able to stay in person, hopefully, fingers crossed, for 2 weeks before Christmas break. So.
Anybody else?
I mean,
Tammy?
I agree. Not much more to say there. I don't think we have much choice. The way the numbers look, just the way they've changed from this morning to right now.
What are we going to get hit with tomorrow?
Jamie?
Yeah, so if I just do rough math on using 2,000 as my baseline, roughly 1,600 kids, roughly 400 or so employees. We're at about 0.25% in terms of infected confirmed rate. So I just want to put that in perspective for everyone. We're at about a 7% impacted rate. My concern is I'm not willing to give up the ghost on the balance of this year. And I concur with the statement that Tom has made and others have made that I think we're going to have to pay this forward. I think we're going to have to pay this week to take advantage of the time that we have already out in quarantine as the that we have to try to ensure that we could still get back in and go back to the original plan. Clearly, it's going to depend on what these data sets show. There's a lot of testing that's going on. And there's potentially enough in that testing to swing these numbers considerably on both the infect rate and on the staff impact rate. So I think the near term, I support paying this forward in terms of taking the remote now in the hopes of being able to secure at least back in person prior to the holidays and then go back to the original plan. Obviously, in between now and then is going to be all telling.
Okay, sounds like we have a consensus.
I have a quick question. One thing that we do need to figure out, I would assume that if the board voted to be remote through Friday and returning to school on Monday, I just wanted to let you know that I would like to be able to give Jody Gutterman, the special ed director, some latitude if she needs to provide some in-person services for students. It's really tricky because I don't want to give staff mixed messages. This is a precautionary situation. And what I would say to Jody is any services that can be done remotely, please do them and only have it be in person if it's absolutely necessary and under very, very carefully controlled circumstances, limited exposure to other people. I'll have to work with her on the HR side of that because, I think that we have to work with the staff that we're asking to come in, or we can just agree to just be remote this week and then reassess, that situation based on the decision. I'm assuming that we're going to be back on Monday. It is only 4 days, but it is tricky with students with IEPs. They have needs, and I want everyone to know that I support that. This is a very complicated situation to help students with IEPs when we're telling staff that, we're taking a few days to catch our breath. What are your thoughts on the special ed piece?
Pete,
Yeah, I think, IEPs are a very special category. I think your first suggestion that you talk to Jody and you make the best decision you can based on individual IEPs. I don't think we want to put everything in one basket. So I think it's as individually needed is the best approach. We don't want to get jammed up with court cases or parents, and all that can be entailed. We've got to supply the IEP services as best we can based on individual, which is the whole idea of I in the IEP. So I think on a case by case based on what Jody gives her expertise in.
Okay, so we'll let Jody work with the special education parents and department to figure out a plan to meet the needs of their students.
Yeah.
No, I agree, Pete. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I'd make sure I like your phrasing of it the first time better than the second time. It's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, and I think that many parents with IEPs are just going to say, I'd rather have my kid at home and have them be safe. But there are, Pete's right, every student's different, but we will put safety first in whatever plan we make.
Yeah.
so,
But
yeah,
I have a
Tammy, go ahead.
question. We have a board meeting scheduled on Wednesday and a budget committee meeting on Thursday scheduled to take in the school. Are we still doing that, or should we discuss whether that's a good idea? I don't necessarily think it's a good idea.
Thanks. I think that's up to the board. I think that we could do the meetings virtually. And then if we feel like we need to, the problem with the meeting is that the board needs to adopt a budget, and then the BudCom is supposed to discuss the budget the next night. So process wise, the timeline is the clock is ticking. We could always move everything back 1 week and see if we're in person next week. Is that what you're thinking, Tammy? I wasn't really.
No, I would suggest meeting remotely as
Okay.
a meeting in person. in the library of the school.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know that we want to introduce more variables, more question marks, into the school building.
Thank you, Tammy. I would recommend that we meet remotely due to the timeline of the budget as well. I just didn't understand your.
Sorry.
No, thanks for clarifying. I appreciate that.
So if we're gonna, and that brings up another question
Don,
regarding
wave your hand,
Monday.
Don.
Regarding Monday, reopening on Monday, if the data shows that we shouldn't reopen on Monday, do you need a school board meeting Sunday night or over the weekend?
I was actually going to ask you about that. I think that at this point, I came to the board tonight to talk about this in part because I wanted the public to see the numbers and to be a part of this process and for the board to make a decision about this week. I think that I would be happy to have another meeting and share the information publicly. I think that's healthy. So yeah, if the numbers aren't looking good on Friday, after the day I had last Saturday with the number of phone calls and the number of people who had to be quarantined and all the contact tracing last Saturday, I have to tell you that we're taking it literally out. I mean, the difference between 11 o'clock today and 1 o'clock today was significant. So all I can say to you is that I'll call a board meeting hopefully I'll know by the end of the day, Friday, where we're at. I hate to spring that on parents Sunday night. What we could do, Jim, is if the numbers aren't looking good, we could do similar to what we did this week. And I could just have school be remote on Monday. We have another meeting Monday night and we let people know what's going on. I think that's a healthy process for people. It also gives my team a chance to unpack whatever happens on the weekend. A lot of work happened today.
Mm-hmm.
And it really helped to have that little bit of extra time to figure it out. So what I would propose is that, certainly I recognize and appreciate the authority to make decisions, but I also want everyone to be informed, and this is serious. So I would be happy to call another meeting next Monday should we need one. But otherwise, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed and hope we're back in school on Monday.
Okay, but if we're not, how are you gonna notice parents?
What would happen is I would do similar to what we did this weekend. I would email, and we'll do a robocall too. Some staff members asked for a robocall because they felt like the phone call kind of reaches some more people. So that was a great idea. So we'll do an email, Facebook post, and robocall Saturday or Sunday if school's closed or remote on Monday, and then I would schedule a board meeting for Monday at 4 o'clock, just like this one.
Right. Dawn.
To Tammy's point of trying to, keep people out of the schools and such, I'm all for not moving the board meeting and just doing remote. But I'm also curious if we should also consider putting a halt to any after-school activities. Is that included, I'm assuming?
Yes, if we're fully remote, we need to stop everything for this week. We did discuss SST, and because the SST is still open. And so I think that, thanks, Dawn, you just jogged my memory that we need to discuss, like, would the kids be able to go to SST this week? And my feeling is that if it's open, we should allow that, because it's really hard to do that remotely, and it's a completely separate school. It's not like they're in our school with our situation, but it's a tough decision, right? It's a tricky one. So we've got a couple of pots on the stove right now. Let's take them one at a time. Could we have a motion for school to be remote until the end of the day Friday, and that Jody will work with special education on a case-by-case basis?
So,
Second.
Oh, good luck. Good luck on that one for Phyllis, huh?
Roll call.
Pete moved.
Roll
and
call
Tammy
vote.
seconded.
Larry, all in
Yes.
favor?
yes,
Pete? You in favor?
Did you just call me?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Last time I was later.
Tammy?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
Jamie?
Aye.
And yes for myself.
Great. And so the next question would be, do we feel comfortable having our students go to SST for the rest of the week? They can't tomorrow because Brian's still doing contact tracing. But Wednesday through Friday, would they go to SST?
Well,
And
can
what
I
are
ask a
those,
question?
do you have the statistics for SST?
Yeah, they have one active case right now.
Pete?
Yeah, how is SST going to feel about us sending a student if we have active COVID cases? I mean, I mean, it's their school. I hate to put it this way, but I always hate to put things away. Their school. Are they gonna, in a sense, allow that? Do they want that?
They have sending schools, I think it's 5 or 6 districts, and they all have active cases. SST had one case today, but it didn't affect any of our students. We could, for this week, have our students on remote fully, including SST, and then reevaluate based on what happens next week. I just know how important those programs, all of this is important. There's no...
Just my feeling is, if the kids can go to school, they should go to school.
Okay.
Especially
So what
the
you're
SST.
saying- So Pete, you're saying if SST is open and they're willing to accept them, let's send them.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Jamie?
The caveat would be none of the people that are on quarantine or contact tracing would be included in that list, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, 100% correct. If you're quarantined, you're quarantined from everything. It doesn't matter.
Just want to be clear on that.
No, thank you, Jamie. That was a good clarification.
So we can't prescribe what people do when they're not in school, but we can when it comes to SST.
Mhm.
Okay. Larry, did you have something?
No.
Okay. Anybody
agree
else?
with
Any
what,
further
Jamie-
comment? Any further comment? All right, so the motion passed.
Yeah, we should have a formal vote, like we're going to allow students to attend SST even though Sanborn is on remote. So could someone
Okay.
make that motion and second and just do a vote?
Oh, moved.
Second.
Okay.
So whoever got the second the last time, alternate, Phyllis. Okay. All in favor, starting with Larry?
Yes.
Okay. Pete,
Yep.
Tammy,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Jamie,
Aye.
and yes for myself.
Thank you very much. What was the last one?
Remote Monday. Remote Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. So I don't think we need to vote on that. I think that if the whole district is remote, we just have the board meeting remote. I
Yeah.
talked to Jim McCarthy today about the BudCom meeting, and I'll work with him on that, but I would assume that's his meeting and his decision. But if the district's closed, I think that the meeting should be remote. I do think and want to acknowledge that there are some budget reductions around staffing that people have concerns about, and I would invite them to email me their public comments so that I can read that aloud during the superintendent's report, so that I don't want anyone to feel excluded by the fact that this has happened this week. So please email me your thoughts about the budget. I've received I know that some people were planning to come and speak at the meeting on Wednesday, so I would like them to know that they can do that via email.
Yeah, thank you, because I was concerned about that myself, and I wanted to ask what the board thought about the best way to handle that. And typically when we've been remote, people have been invited to email Tom. Are you going to extend that invitation that they can do that during the meeting as well?
I can't process it during the meeting and work at the meeting. I need them to send it to me by noon on Wednesday. It's really
Okay.
hard when they come in. I have them sometimes coming in at 5 minutes of 6, and I need to have them all organized and ready to read. So
Yeah.
Phyllis prints them off and gets them ready for me to read out loud. So I'm just asking that people please try to email me by noon on Wednesday.
Okay. All right.
Tom, do you need a motion at all, or is it just automatic that the after-school activities are temporarily suspended?
Oh, we could take, we could, I was assuming that would be automatic, but we could, assuming is dangerous. So I'm perfectly fine, Dawn, if you want to make a motion about the after-school activities for this week.
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, if we need one, fine. And if we don't, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we were clear before we ended the meeting.
Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and do one just so that it's clear?
Okay, I'll make a motion to suspend after-school activities while school is remote this week. So,
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, starting with Larry?
Yes.
Pete,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
Dawn,
yes,
Jamie,
Aye.
and yes for myself. So anything else, anything further? Oh, Matt,
I just want to make sure that we're kind of closing the loop. Did we make a motion for special education for Jody to make decisions?
Tom
on her
wove
own?
that into the first motion, I believe.
Yeah, that was in the first motion.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So if that's it, yeah, Jamie.
Just a completely non-related item. Matt, did you get the additional follow-up questions on the budget for the budget meeting? So I'd have that information for the meeting.
I have your questions. I think I have about 3 left to answer. If you want, I can share them with you before.
Okay.
I can share them with you in a few minutes.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting.